Today, we will learn about past continuous tense. Let us see how a past tense sentence is written. How can we transform other types of sentences into past continuous tense? Let us see again what are the different types of past continuous tense according to its meaning. Let's go. You see a beautiful picture in essence, which gives you a clear idea what a past continuous tense is. I was washing my car when the accident happened. I was washing my car when the accident happened. You see, in this sentence, you may notice that there are two actions. One action is completed action, and the other one was a going on action at that time when the other action happened. So there is a completed action. At the same time, there is a non-completed action, an incompleted action. And that incompleted action is written with an ing form. And the helping verb was is used to indicate that it was a past action. And this is how exactly we write a past continuous tense. Let's go further. Look at the screen. A past continuous tense, which is also called a past progressive tense, sometimes known as the past continuous, and that is what we said, is formed by adding the variant of to be, which means the past variant of to be, which means, you remember, I taught you when I took the lesson, the verbs. The V1, V2, V3, V4 verb forms. And be, to be, that verb, the is, are, they are the V1 verb form, V1 variants, and was and where are the V2 variants of the verb to be. And this is what we use in a past progressive tense. You must remember the non-finite verb, participles, the ing form as well as the V3 verb form, can never be used in a sentence as main verb without a helping verb. So we are using the ing form here in a past time, an action that already happened, but at the time we mentioned it was an incompleted action. It was an ongoing action. Whether it is completed now or not, that doesn't matter at all. And that is the reason we use the ing form to indicate that the action was incomplete at that time we mentioned. Therefore, we use an ing form as well as a helping verb. So the helping verb plus the ing form of the verb make it together a complete action, a main verb as we call. Generally, if the action is ongoing though, the present perfect progressive would be used instead. Sometimes if we say that the action is still going on, then instead of past continuous, we must use the present perfect continuous. That we will talk about later. And for example, you see the last part of the screen, the last two lines of the screen. You were playing on your phone while the teacher was talking about all sorts of triangles. It happens in the classroom, especially when you study. The teacher, by the time teacher was talking and you were playing, both actions were incompleted actions in the past. And this is how we use a past continuous tense. So, a past continuous tense, an action started before and ended after another action or time. in the past. It is anyway, it is a past time action. So it could happen like that. Two action and then one action was going on in between the other action. And so, or one action before an action got over. It was something like that. Look at the screen, you may find a person jogging or running. And here we say, Abhishek was jogging when she met him. Now we say that the action of meeting, actually it is over, she met him. Now by the time she met, Abhishek was jogging at that time. Abhishek was on the process of jogging. It was not that he stopped, not so. While Abhishek was jogging, she met him. So at that time, when she met, Abhishek was in an action which was not completed. Again, it also happened to you many a times. While I was watching TV or while you were watching TV, your mom asked you to go to the shop. You were watching the TV or I was watching the TV and mom asked me to go to shop. At that time, now we know that action that we went to the shop and it is over. But when mom asked you to go to the shop, at that time you were in a process of watching a TV. You did not complete watching the TV. You already began watching the TV, but before you complete watching the TV program, your mom asked. And that is how we use, and that is where we use a past continuous tense. And as a result, that action turned to be an interrupted action that could not be completed at that time. So a past progressive tense or a past continuous tense, we must use either was or were. Because in a progressive tense, we always use, in a continuous tense, we always use the ing verb form. And ing verb form as the main verb can never be used without a helping verb. And that is the reason we need to use the helping verbs, supportive verb, auxiliary verbs like was or were according to the number of the subject. If the subject is singular, subject is third person singular, then we must use was. For all other subjects, we may use were. And that could be the best way to remember. I'm not asking you to write singular was every time. Instead, I may say that you may use for all the third person singular. You may use almost all the third person plural, you may use were. For rest of the things, you may use was. For all the, once again I say, for all the third person plural, you use were. And for the rest of the subjects, if the subject, anything else, you may use was. And that is why we use I was, and you were. You may use you were, because you also is considered as a plural, whether it is, even if you are talking about one person or two person, you may use were. And the other day I told you, I and you are special subjects for which the Britishers use special verbs. I and you are always, that's why even if I is the word letter I or the word I is singular, they don't use I is, because I is a special subject. You too, you, the subject you also is a special subject with which we may use special verbs. That's why we say you were, you are, not you is, or not you was. Okay, so that action was an ongoing action. I was talking when he interrupted. It was an interrupted action. The talking was interrupted, in a sense. interrupted action or ongoing action it was at that time. And when he interrupted and he stopped my talking, the way what I was talking and you interrupted. It's not that I talked and you were interrupting. That may not be the right way to say. So it is an ongoing activity before another action, and it happened in a past time, a definite past time. Let's see, how can we use it? I was reading a book at 6 o'clock. Look at the screen, at time, and it is not 6 o'clock now. 6 o'clock is already over. So the action happened in a past time, in 6 o'clock. An action at a certain moment in the past, and that is where we use this type of continuous tense. I was reading a book at 6 o'clock. That we could say. At that time, a particular moment on a period, you were in an action that was not completed. So you could say, I was reading a book at 6 o'clock. You did not at that time you did not finish reading, and that is the meaning also. So it was 6 o'clock at that accident happened also. So you can say that while you were reading the accident happened. Or while I was reading, the meteorite fell at 6 o'clock again. So that also we could say. An action that exactly happened and completed, that could be said in the simple past tense. But an action which has not been completed by the time we mention, then it must be written in a progressive form or continuous tense with ing form. Then again we can use, she was watching TV and he was doing his homework. Two simultaneous action, incompleted actions. That is what we could say. Two incompleted actions that happen at the same time simultaneously. Then we could say, we could write them in continuous tense. Since it happened in the past time, we could say, we could use them in past continuous. So two or more long actions were happening at the same time in the past, and therefore we use it in the past continuous tense. And then again, a repeated action, single action. I was cutting pages, I cut my finger. I was cutting. While I was cutting pages, I cut my finger. So that action, one action was going on and another action just stopped. You can see in the left side of the screen, you may find two different color action. And one color action is a prolonging action, and the other action, the blue colored, where the violet color was a prolonged action that was not completed. But the blue colored actions were completed actions. And we use the ing form, which is a prolonged action, incompleted action. And that is what we must remember while we write past continuous tense. Now let us see how do we use. We have to use, the form is like this, subject plus was or were. If the subject is singular, we have to use was. See, the subject is singular and the singular verb ends with yes. That is what we have to remember. And then if the subject is plural, we must use the word were plus verb plus ing form, the ing form of the verb. Example is given. It is given. Here we see a positive past continuous tense. A positive past continuous tense is used along with the like this. A subject, and this is the form of past continuous, especially a positive past continuous tense. Subject plus was, either was or were. Don't use both. Plus ing form of the verb. She was cooking all the morning. And the moment that I say she was cooking all the morning, you must know that the action of cooking was an incompleted action. And then we could we could say in a negative way. The negative past continuous tense is used, in a negative sentence we use the one of the N words. N means negative words. No, not, not, neither, nor, and like this. Here we use not along with the helping verb. So, she not sleeping may not be right. She was not sleeping when he came home. She wasn't sleeping, that also we could say in a contracted form. And this is how we write a negative sentence. She wasn't sleeping when he came home, or she was not sleeping when he came home. And then let us see how can we use an interrogative sentence. And here we must use the helping verb in front of the subject, just like we tie a horse before a cart, or bull before a bullock cart. We must use the helping verb before the subject in front of the sentence. So, was she sleeping when he came home? The subject helping verb we must bring before the subject. Was he sleeping when he came home? And this is how we write the positive past continuous tense, the negative past continuous tense, as well as the interrogative past continuous tense. Let us see how we use them. To describe parallel action, two actions, a little bit I explained earlier, two actions that simultaneously happened. While I was watching the TV, watching the movie, I heard a loud noise outside. We could say two actions, and one was an incompleted action. And then another way, to describe what someone was doing at a particular time, particular point of time. I was walking in the garden, I was working in the garden all day yesterday. So that moment, the action I was talking about, or I am talking about now, is an incompleted action. Again, the third usage is to express interrupted action in the past. I was driving to work when I crashed my car. So the accident occurred, I was driving, and I did not complete my driving. Then it would not have happened even. And then the last part is to describe repetition and irritation, to show a repeated action. He was always complaining in the class, always complaining. Remember, the ing form is used with either was or were, and without using this was or were, if we write an ing verb form in the any way, it will not become past continuous tense. So the simple identity of past continuous tense, there are two things that you have to remember. One, there should be was or were, and the other most important thing is ing form. The other day, you remember, I taught you all the ing form or all the continuous tense, whether it is past continuous, present continuous, future continuous, whether it is a past perfect continuous, present perfect continuous, or future perfect continuous. Ing form is used in a continuous tense. Then the difference we make, whether it is past, present, future, or perfect, it depends upon the helping verb we use. Is, ama, was, were, has, have, had. And that is the way we identify, we recognize the different types of continuous tense as well. Now, how can we write a positive form of the verb? Let us see how can we write a past continuous tense in a positive form. I gave you plenty of examples here. Subject plus was plus were plus ing form. I was reading, he was reading, it was reading, and like that. And then plural, you were reading, we were reading, you were reading, and they were reading. It is very simple. And then a negative form, once again I remind you. I was in reading, he was in reading, she was in reading, it was in reading. If it is written in the plural, we were not reading or we were in reading, anyway you could say they were in reading. So I was sleeping. How could we change into negative? I wasn't sleeping or I was not sleeping. And we were sleeping. How would we change into negative? We weren't sleeping or we were not sleeping. So this not, the word not is used in the negative form. And then question form. And here once again I say, when I give you the more examples, the helping verb must be brought before the subject. Was he sleeping? Was he starting? Was he reading? And it was something like, were you starting? Were you reading? It could be like this. So he was sleeping. Was he sleeping? They were sleeping. How will you ask question? Were they sleeping? And that's enough. And this is how we write the various positive, negative sentences. Past continuous tenses. I give you further example. They were watching. Were they reading? I was eating something. You were drinking coke. He was walking. She was singing. It was barking. All ing form with is, was, or were used as helping verbs. Now, there are further things to be noticed. Look at here. We can use the ing form often to describe the background in a story written in the past tense. When you are asked to write a story, the best way to use, especially in the introductory part or something, is to use the past continuous form. For example, you see the sun was shining and the birds were singing and as the elephant came out of the jungle, the other animal were relaxing, and you could read like that. But the elephant moved very quickly. She was looking for her, and you could go like that. See again the hunter who was watching, and that she was running toward the river. This way we can nicely write stories. If you are asked to write stories in any time, especially in the question paper, in the annual examination or terminal examination, the past continuous form can be used very effectively. And then to describe an unfinished action that was interrupted by another event or action. I explained it and giving you further more example. I was having a beautiful dream when the alarm clock rang. It happened to you many times. It was an interrupted action. The alarm of the clock interrupted watching or you are dreaming. To express a change of mind. And then I was going to spend the day. Going to spend that day, was going at the beach, but I have decided to get my homework done instead. So a change of, I was planning to do that, but I changed it. Again, a was ing form. And the last thing, with wonder, to make a very polite request. How could we ask? I was wondering if you could babysit for me tonight. I was wondering if you could do that. And that is the way we could use the verb plus ing form along with was or were. Remember, past continuous tense is used with ing form. And most importantly, it must be used with either was or were. Now let us have some exercises. Here you are given 5 sentences and you are asked to change them, negative, interrogative, positive, and let us see how could we write the answer. If you write the answer and see that your answer is exactly matching with my answer, I could say that you have been fascinated. You have understood the concept very clearly, though it is very simple to understand, because the students most of the time likes the ing form more than any other verb form. Tom was painting the gate, negative sentence. You know, the helping verb was is used and not must be used along with the was. So here you get the answer. Tom was seen painting the gate. And next you have to change they were playing cricket into an interrogative sentence. Bring the helping verb before the subject. Enough, that will be enough. So, were they playing cricket? Question mark is necessary when you write an interrogative sentence. Next, we were in watching the movie. It is a negative sentence. Now we have to change into positive sentence. That we can do just by removing the NT form, the not form. So the answer is we were watching the movie. Next, we have to make a negative interrogative. Again, we have to add NT form. So the answer is very simple. Wasn't she dancing well? And the last one, an interrogative sentence is given, and you have to change into positive sentence. If you bring or take the helping verb from in front of the sentence to in the middle of the sentence, in between the subject and the verb, you would get the right answer. So was he telling the truth? It is an interrogative sentence. You may change into positive sentence by writing he was telling the truth. Now let us go further, some more example or some more question exercises. Again, you may get ready with your paper and pen to write down the answers to see that you get the right answer. Here comes the questions. There are 5 questions again, and at the bracket verbs are given. You are supposed to change them into the past continuous tense. They dash waited the verb for the bus when the accident happened. How can we change into past continuous? They, the subject is plural. Therefore, the helping verb must be were. So they were waiting for the bus when the accident happened. Simple as such. And Caroline ski when she broke her leg. How could you write the ski, and the continuous tense is ing form, and with the helping verb, since the subject is singular, we need to use either was or were. But here Caroline is singular, therefore we use was. So the answer is Caroline was skiing when she broke her leg. And now again, when he arrived, he dashed has a bath, and has is flipped. We don't have the verb having. Instead we say, instead the verb is having, ing form of has and have is having, not having. And therefore, we have to use, if the subject is he, along with the subject we may use the subject he, we must use either was or were. Since the subject is he, is singular, we must say was having. So, when we arrived, he was having a bath. It was interrupted action. Then, I don't watch television when the fire started. Now, watch, past continuous tense is written with ing form, so it must be watching. Now, along with I, we must use either was or were. It should be used was or were. It should be singular. So, I was watching television when the fire started. And the last one is, she does cook when I telephoned her. So, she got the telephone at that time. She was doing something else. What she was doing? She was cooking. She was cooking when I telephoned her. And this is how we write the past continuous tenses. And I hope that you are clear with the concept of past continuous tense. Thank you for watching the video.